here with Miami Hockey assistant coach and recruiting coordinator David Nies, and we will take some questions.
Dave, first I'll get to talk to you. So this could be kind of a little different spin for our weekly press conference.
Yeah.
Let's talk some recruiting. You guys had a great class that announced just a couple of weeks ago. So first off, your first chance to recruit here. Tell us a little bit about your whole thoughts about that recruiting class coming in.
Yeah, I think the class is awesome. Honestly, super competitive. I mean, that's what we're looking for to continue to drive our culture. But highly competitive kids that are, most of them are in leadership roles or have experience in the USHL, which checks up a lot of boxes for us. So, we're super excited to have those guys here. Also, great kids, great messaging from home and all that stuff. So that checks all the boxes.
How was it for you coming to a new program with having obviously commitments that you've had with other programs, whether it be the development program or other other USHL teams? How much of that played a role to be able to get these kids to come here? We're in a really different world of recruiting these days.
Yeah, I think the familiarity with the league, especially having coached two of the guys, it helped quite a bit. But the familiarity with the kids in the league and kind of what strikes a chord with them, and then obviously being able to sell such an amazing place it helps too, right? And I think with those kids too, and young players, they want opportunity, right? And I think we have opportunity too. So I think that plays a huge role.
How big of an impact is it to have been in the USHL, have been coaching this age group to be able to really target the USHL with this recruiting class?
Yeah, I think it's helped. I mean, obviously being around those kids every day, they keep you young. So just being able to communicate with them and know what their wants and needs are, especially the new age player, I think has helped tremendously.
What's been the transition like to the recruiting for the college game? It's been sort of a short runway of getting here and getting this class signed, but how has the transition to college recruiting been for you, and how's that different from previous stops?
It's highly competitive, honestly. I mean, it's we're in such a great conference, but we're going up against so many great teams in our conference, and then so many great teams around the country, and obviously those schools have a lot to sell too. So just making sure we're on point with our pitch and all that. But I mean, it's been hard, but it's also been fun. I think it's when you believe in it, it's easy to sell, and I think that's been a constant theme throughout our staff.
Throughout this rebuild and you're going to have more guys to replace, so who are graduating this year or moving on. So looks like you mentioned the leadership aspect for each of the players that are coming in, but probably looking to fill specific roles. How does that puzzle come together for you in the recruiting class?
Yeah, we always feel like we just get as many competitive kids as we possibly can in here, and when they're highly competitive, they're usually it kind of shakes out and they get slotted into spots they need to be in. But I would say this too about the class that's coming in. They're extremely selfless, so that helps too. And I know they'll be pulling the rope in the same direction, and so they'll be able to be slotted wherever to help the team.
I mean, we could go down the list. There's 11 of them coming in here, but I think the name that a lot of people like to bring up a lot is a guy that I know Coach Noreen has coached, you have coached as well, is Artemi Nizamayev. So not that we want to highlight any one player over the other. So tell us a little bit about him. I know a lot of people are very interested in what he's able to do.
Yeah, no, super talented, great kid. And when he came over, I remember doing video with him the first time. I tried to translate it in Russian for him. That didn't go over so well. But his English is improved so much. So just the maturity and growth to see those guys, especially just coaching, Sean McEwen and Artemi, just to see their growth has been awesome. And then to be able to coach them again is even more fun, But Artemi's super skilled. Always has a smile on his face when he's playing the game, which is awesome, and he can score too. So I mean, I think throughout the whole class, everybody kind of fits a niche, but yeah, he's a pretty talented player.
You talked about the world of recruiting being very competitive, at least in the college game. it's just changed again a couple of weeks ago. It's been rumored for a long time. Now the Canadian juniors are open to college recruiting. How does that change your scope? I mean, does it obviously it broadens it quite a bit, I would imagine.
Yeah, 60 new teams to know those players, and a lot of those players we've seen in the past. You know, whether we're trying to recruit them to the USHL versus signing in the CHL, but just being as thorough as we possibly can and understanding the leagues and you know, I got on the road a little bit last week and went and checked out some games and went up north and went west and just to figure out the style and how it suits us. But, you know, the one constant is we just don't want to make any concessions on our culture and you know, for us, it's just being as thorough as possible. And so we're a little bit, like everybody else, a little bit behind the eight ball with these kids, but we just got to get sped up a little bit, whether it's extra video and getting live viewings and Zooms and phone calls, but just doing our due diligence.
How does and you've been involved with the National Development Program. How does now having Canadian players, junior players coming into the U.S. college game, how is that going to impact the U.S. junior program, the USHLs, the NAHLs, and those?
Yeah, I think that well, we really don't know necessarily. That's kind of, I think we all kind of think what might happen, but you know, there's still going to be like import rules on who can go where, and so there's only a certain amount of Americans that can go up north, and so that'll kind of hold true. But yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting. I don't know how much it'll change a little bit, but I don't know how much it will, you know, yet.
And again, this is all speculation on our part at this point now of what may or may not happen, but could you see it's going to make a lot more players available to play the U.S. college game? Do we think there could be expansion in college hockey or with other elements within the whole big picture of NCAA sports? Does it make it tougher now? Or
yeah, I think it's going to be way more competitive now to be a Division I college hockey player until hopefully if there is expansion, which would be awesome, which would mean the game's growing and all that. So I think that'd be a big thing for, you know, the college game. And honestly, I think it's good for the sport of hockey too. I think it just, you know, it extends those kids, you know, runway a little bit. The CHL players, that there's a lot of good hockey players at 21, 22 that their career, so to speak, was over, but now it's been extended maybe 4 years. So, yeah, I mean, hopefully it does lead to you know, more teams and all that. But for the meantime, it's going to be pretty competitive.
Oh, for sure. It's
Yeah.
going to have to play itself out. One last thing, too, about the whole recruiting world, and you're talking about we're not going to make any sacrifices on the culture that Miami University itself has, the brotherhood or whatever you want to call it. Canadian kids coming in there, it's a little bit different mentality, especially Canadian junior hockey. It's a more rough physical game. It's a different style of game than you see in college. Not that you can't be physical, as we saw last weekend, but is that something? What kind of adjustment, I guess, would that be for guys having to make that adjustment? Well,
that's a big factor too. You know, how much does it matter to them, honestly? And that's kind of what our job is to decipher, is are they using this as like a 1 year stop to sign or whatever. Which in some cases that might happen, but, you know, does it matter to them? How much it matters to them? What's their thought process for going? Because they have to balance the academics and the athletics, you know, and that's important to us too. So yeah, I mean, that's just all, you know, the things that we have to go through throughout these processes, which we're trying to expedite as much as possible. But yeah, it's been interesting. Yeah.
I can only imagine. Let's talk about the current day, guys, here real quick. One last question I'll ask you is, we're at a weird part of the schedule. You got a bye this weekend. It's a holiday weekend. The guys are still here, though. They're practicing, trying to get better every day. So what's the schedule like for the guys? How do you kind of handle this with then only one series remaining before another long break?
Yeah, it's a little bit of a weird time, honestly, just playing 2 games, and then we have a long break, and then we have the weekend off this weekend. So, you know, we're trying to take a step back, kind of focus on ourselves a little bit, which I think it's at the right time. So, you know, we had a good practice Monday, did some team building stuff yesterday, and then had another good practice today. we'll get a nice Thanksgiving meal tonight with the guys and everything. So I think it's a good time to focus on ourselves, truthfully. And then, with one eye on North Dakota in a week and a half. So I think it's a good little built-in break for us, but we still got to dissect everything in our game and continue to make evaluations and do all that stuff that we normally do. We just have a little bit more time to do it.
We're here with senior defenseman Nick Donato, and we will take some questions.
Nick, you're back with the team. Good to have you back. Good to see you around here. So tell us a little bit about what it's been like for you, having played under the past regime and now playing for Coach Noreen, a guy who you had played for in the past.
Yeah, well, it's great to be back here. I missed it a lot in my year off. So knowing Anthony before, played a huge part in me coming back here. So he's just such a good coach to play for, and I'm really excited for the years to come. I think this program is going to be turned around, and it's really exciting times. And me just getting back into everything, I feel like taking the year off, my timing was a little bit off coming back. Put a lot of hard work in over the summer to get back into shape, so I feel like I came in pretty ready to go. And as the season's gone, it's gotten better.
Playing for Coach Noreen when you did it at the USHL and now playing for him here, do you see any differences or what is kind of like his style? Do you see similarities from what it was before?
Yeah, a lot of our systems are the same. I love the way we break the puck out, and I feel like our D zone is going to keep improving as we sort of get used to it and getting used to playing the teams in our league. But a lot of the stuff that he does is the same motivation, and he had a lot of success at Tri-City. And I feel like it's going to carry over. A lot of the players want to come play for him, so that speaks for itself.
After the year off, the start of the season, maybe battling some, getting banged up here and there, getting your timing back. Since then, you've been a fixture back in the lineup. So what has that been like, especially at the start of the year, to battle back and to get yourself game ready?
Yeah, it was a long process, and we talked through it every step of the way. As training camp was going along, maybe I struggled here and there in certain areas, but I kept working, kept getting better, and I feel like me on the PK especially has kind of helped solidify my role back in the lineup, and just got to keep getting better week by week. I feel like that's something that I just got to focus on, consistency.
That PK unit all year has been a real strength for the team. Top, one of the top ones in the country, top ones in the league.
Right.
And how have you been able, you personally and you as a unit have been able to, really bring that unit up to those heights?
I feel like a lot of our pride comes in, blocking shots. Being able to pressure as a unit of three is something that we focus on, not letting them get into the zone, letting them set up. But when all else fails, you got to block the shot, and I feel like that's something that we've done really good at. We've also gotten good goaltending in certain areas, so just got to keep focusing on it because as it comes down the stretch, that's a huge part of the game's special teams.
Now, on the other end, scoring has been at a premium this year.
Right.
What can the Blue Liners do to sort of help jump up there and start contributing to the scoring? Yeah,
I think something that we can do as a unit is just kind of move around more. I feel like there's a lot of times where we are kind of one and done in the offensive zone, where maybe we get stuck in the corners. And something we've been focusing on is kind of those rim releases, releasing out of those tough areas where teams like to swarm. And I feel like we have a really good decor, mobile decor, I think. So if we can start getting those opportunities and maybe start cashing in, I feel like the offense from the blue line could be huge for this team moving forward.
We're kind of at a weird juncture of the season right now. You get an off week this week, so probably good to put last week behind us and take a week off. But then you're only going to play one series between now and early January. So how do you guys kind of how are you personally and how kind of the team trying to stay focused and not look past this one game that comes up next weekend? It's a big one against North Dakota.
Yeah, it's a huge weekend. We're preparing right now. We're not taking days off in practice, especially. I feel like a lot of the stuff is a lot of people might be banged up. Just focus on getting recovery. Feeling good is something that we need to be as a team. We need to go into these weekends confident, and the rest and the preparation that we've been doing in practice, I feel like we should be ready. something that we gotta keep going, keep moving forward.